In Umuoko village, no one ever warned women about Ifeanyi. They called him calm, quiet, a man who minded his business. Ifeanyi was born into respect. His father had been a titled man, his mother a woman of means. When his parents died within 2 years of each other, he inherited their compound, their lands, and their reputation. The village saw a young man who went to church every Sunday, who greeted elders properly, who never drank palm wine in excess or gambled at the market square. What they did not see was the way he gripped things when angry, how his jaw tightened, how his eyes went cold and flat like a snake's. His own mother had seen it once. Ifeanyi, she had said before she died, you have your father's temper. Learn to control it, or it will control you. He had nodded, but he never learnt. His first wife was in Neca. She was the youngest daughter of Mazi Okafor, a farmer whose yam barn was never empty. Neca had finished secondary school, a rare thing for girls in those days. She had soft eyes and a softer voice. She sang in the church choir. When Ifeanyi approached her father, Mazi Okafor was pleased. A good family, he told his daughter, and he is educated. He works at the local government office. You will not suffer. Neca trusted her father. The wedding was beautiful. White lace and George wrapper. Jollof rice that people talked about for weeks. A live band that played until midnight. Everyone said Neca was lucky. At first, marriage was sweet. Ifeanyi brought her small gifts. He complimented her cooking. He held her hand when they walked to church. But slowly, things changed. It started with corrections. Neca, this soup needs more salt. Neca, why is the compound not swept? Neca, you took too long at the market. She apologized each time. Then the corrections became commands. You will not visit your friends without telling me. You will cook what I say. You will not wear that dress. It is too tight. Neca obeyed. She thought this was what marriage required. Her own mother had told her, a good wife adjusts. The first time he hit her was over beans. She had cooked beans porridge. He said it was too watery. Are you trying to poison me? He asked. No, I'm sorry. Sorry is not enough. The slap came so fast she didn't see it coming. Her ear rang, her cheek burned. Ifeanyi stared at his own hand, shocked. Then his face hardened. See what you made me do, he said quietly. Neca said nothing. She learned that silence was safer than words. After that, it happened regularly. The food was wrong. The house was wrong. Her greeting was wrong. Everything was wrong. He bet her in the bedroom where no one could hear. He was careful never to mark her face badly. He knew exactly where to hit so the bruises would hide beneath clothing. Neca stopped wearing sleeveless blouses. She stopped going to choir practice. She stopped smiling. At the stream, women asked questions. Neca, why so quiet? Are you well? You've lost weight, oh. She smiled and said, I'm fine, just tired. The women exchanged looks but said nothing. In Umuoko, marriage was sacred. What happened in a man's house was his business. One evening, Neca burnt the rice. She had been distracted thinking about her younger sister's wedding. The pot sat on the fire too long. When Ifeanyi came home and smelt it, his face went dark. What is this? I'm sorry, He flipped the pot. Hot rice scattered across the floor. You are useless, he shouted. Completely useless. He grabbed her arm and twisted it. She cried out. He pushed her down. She fell hard, her shoulder striking the wall. Clean this up, he said, and don't let me see your face until morning. That night, lying on the floor because her body hurt too much to climb into bed, Neca made a decision. She waited till dawn. She packed one bag with her clothes and certificates. She left behind her wedding photos, her jewelry, everything Ifeanyi had given her. At sunrise, she walked out of the compound. She did not look back. When people asked why she left, Neca said only, "I want peace." Her father was disappointed. "You should have endured," he said. "Marriage is not easy." But Neca's mother saw the bruises when her daughter bathed. She saw the fear in her daughter's eyes. She said nothing to her husband, but she held Neca tight and whispered, "You can stay here forever if you want." The village had opinions, plenty opinions. At the market, women whispered, "She left after only 2 years? What could be so bad? These modern girls have no patience. She probably wanted to marry someone richer." Some blamed Neca's education. That's what school does, makes women think they are equal to men. Others blamed her mother. She spoils that girl, never taught her how to manage a husband. But some women, the older ones, who had survived their own private wars, said nothing. They simply nodded when they saw Neca at the market. They knew. Ifeanyi told everyone who would listen that Neca was the problem. She was stubborn, disrespectful. I tried to correct her, but she would not listen. Men nodded sympathetically. Women these days, they agreed. Ifeanyi's house became quiet again. Too quiet. 6 months later, Ifeanyi announced he was marrying again. The village was stunned. So soon? Who agreed? Which family gave him their daughter after what happened? Her name was Amarachi. She came from a neighboring village. Her father died young and her mother raised 6 children alone by frying akara and selling in the market. Amarachi was the eldest daughter. She had helped raise her siblings. She had fought off landlords who tried to cheat them. She had worked as a secretary, a shop attendant, a market woman. She was not gentle like Neca. She was fire. When Amarachi first arrived in Ifeanyi's compound, the village women came to greet her. They studied her carefully. She was tall, strong-looking. Her handshake was firm. "Welcome," they said. "We hope you find peace here." Amarachi looked around the compound, at the too quiet house, at Ifeanyi watching from the doorway. "I will," she said simply. The first week was normal. Amarachi cooked, cleaned, went to the market. But she also did things that made people raise eyebrows. She laughed loudly when something was funny. She argued with market women about prices. She corrected a male elder who misquoted a proverb. "This one is too proud," women whispered. "She will learn," others said knowingly. It happened on a Saturday. Ifeanyi came home and found Amarachi sitting down reading a newspaper. "Why is my food not ready?" he demanded. She looked up calmly. "I cooked already. It's in the pot. And you're sitting here? You should have served it." "Don't talk back to me." His voice rose, the way it used to with Neca. Amarachi stood up slowly. She folded her newspaper carefully. "I am not talking back," she said evenly. "I am talking to you. There is a difference." Ifeanyi's eye twitched. "Woman, do you know who you are speaking to?" "My husband," Amarachi said, "not my master." The slap came fast, but Amarachi was faster. She caught his wrist mid-air. For 3 seconds they stood frozen. Then Amarachi twisted his arm, stepped aside, and delivered a slap that echoed across the compound. Whap! Ifeanyi staggered. His hand flew to his cheek. Before he could react, another slap landed. Whap! "Hot for hot," Amarachi said calmly, her voice steady as a drumbeat. "You try me, I try you. Let's see who gets tired first." Ifeanyi could not believe it. His mouth opened, closed, opened again. You hit me? "You hit me first," Amarachi said. "I'm just returning the interest with interest." He lunged at her. Big mistake. Amarachi stepped aside, grabbed the nearest object, a wooden spoon, and brought it down on his shoulder. Thwack! "Jesus!" Ifeanyi yelped. "Call all the saints you want. Come again. Let me introduce you to the apostles too." Neighbors heard the commotion and ran over. They found Ifeanyi backing away from his own wife, holding his shoulder, while Amarachi stood in the middle of the compound with a wooden spoon in one hand and a pot lid in the other, looking like a warrior queen. "Is everything all right?" someone asked carefully. Everything is perfect, Amarachi said sweetly. My husband and I are just understanding each other. Ifeanyi said nothing. From that day forward, chaos became normal in Ifeanyi's house. If Ifeanyi raised his voice, Amarachi raised hers louder. If he slammed a door, she slammed too. If he refused to eat her food, she ate it herself and cooked nothing else for 3 days. The neighbors were scandalized and entertained. One afternoon, Ifeanyi tried to embarrass Amarachi in public. They were at a village meeting. He said loudly, "My wife is lazy. She does not even wake up early to sweep." Amarachi smiled. "My husband is right," she said to everyone. "I wake up at 5 a.m. to sweep, but he wakes up at 10 a.m. so he misses it. Maybe if he stopped sleeping like a python that swallowed a goat, he would see me walking." The crowd burst into laughter. Ifeanyi's face turned red. Another time, he tried to lock her out of the house. Amarachi simply went to her neighbor's house, borrowed a ladder, climbed through the window, and locked him out instead. He banged on the door for an hour. She opened it only when he said, "Please." The fights were legendary. One evening, people heard shouting, "You think you can disrespect me? Disrespect? You want to see disrespect? Let me show you disrespect." Then came the sounds. Crash! A plate. Bang! A pot. "My soup!" "Your soup? It's my suffering." A chair flew out of the window, then a broom. Then Ifeanyi himself came running out, holding his head, with Amarachi chasing him with a frying pan. "Come back! We're not finished." "Amarachi, please." "Please? Now you know please?" Children started gathering whenever they heard fighting, like it was free entertainment. Uncle Ifeanyi is running again. Auntie Amarachi brought out the big spoon. Parents pulled their children away, but they themselves stayed to watch. Finally, the elders could ignore it no longer. They summoned both Ifeanyi and Amarachi. The meeting was held under the big udara tree in the village square. 7 elders sat on wooden chairs. Ifeanyi and Amarachi stood before them. "Ifeanyi," the eldest man began, "what is happening in your house?" Ifeanyi tried to compose himself. "My lords, I married a woman with no respect. She fights me. She challenges me. She has no home training." The elders turned to Amarachi. "Is this true?" Amarachi nodded calmly. "Yes." The elders looked surprised. "You admit it?" "I admit that I fight back," Amarachi said, "but I do not start fights. I finish them." A murmur spread through the crowd that had gathered. One elder frowned. "A woman should not raise her hand against her husband." "And a husband should not raise his hand against his wife," Amarachi replied. "But if he does, what should she do? Smile and say thank you?" Silence. Another elder cleared his throat. "Ifeanyi, do you beat your wife?" "She provokes me," Ifeanyi said quickly. "That is not what I asked." Ifeanyi hesitated. "Sometimes discipline is necessary." "Discipline," Amarachi said slowly, her voice dangerous. "Is that what you call it?" She turned to the elders. "Ask him about Neca." The name hung in the air. The elders shifted uncomfortably. "What about Neca?" one asked. "Ask him why she left," Amarachi said. All eyes turned to Ifeanyi. He opened his mouth, closed it. She was stubborn." "Liar," said a voice from the crowd. Everyone turned. It was Neca's mother. She stepped forward, her face hard. "My daughter left because this man beat her every day. For 2 years. She had bruises everywhere. I saw them with my own eyes." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Ifeanyi's face went pale. "That is not..." "It is true," another voice said. A neighbor woman came forward. "I heard her crying many nights. We all heard, but we said nothing, because we thought it was not our place." More voices joined. "I saw her once with a black eye. She said she fell. She stopped coming to church. She was afraid. He threatened to kill her if she told anyone."
The elders looked at Ifeanyi with new eyes. "Is this true?" the head elder asked quietly. Ifeanyi said nothing. His silence was answer enough. One elder stood up slowly. "So this is who you are, a man who beats women in secret and calls it discipline." Another elder shook his head. "You dishonor your father's name." A third spat on the ground. "You are no man. You are a coward." Amarachi spoke into the silence. "I knew," she said. "Before I married him, I heard whispers. I thought maybe people were lying. Maybe Neca was the problem. So I gave him a chance." She looked at Ifeanyi with something like pity. "But on our wedding night, I made a promise to myself. If he ever raised his hand to me, I would raise mine back. Because I am not Neca. I am not quiet, and I will not suffer in silence." She turned to the elders. "You can judge me if you want. Call me disrespectful. Call me a bad wife. I don't care. But I will not let any man treat me like I am less than human." The elders dismissed the meeting. They told Ifeanyi to go home and reflect. They told Amarachi she was free to make her own choice. That night, Amarachi packed her things. In the morning, she walked to the village square where people gathered for the early market. She stood in the center and spoke loudly. "My name is Amarachi. I am leaving Ifeanyi today, not because I am afraid of him, not because he won, but because I am not a rehabilitation center for broken men." People stopped to listen. "If he wants to change, let him do that work himself. I am not his training ground. I am not his punching bag, and I am not his mother." She adjusted her bag on her shoulder. "To the women here, if a man hits you once, he will hit you again. Don't wait for the second time, and don't let anyone tell you to endure. Your life is worth more than any marriage." Then she walked away. People watched her go in silence. Some women had tears in their eyes. After Amarachi left, Ifeanyi's life changed completely. No woman would marry him. When matchmakers came with proposals, mothers said, "Anybody but him." When he tried to approach women himself, they laughed in his face. "Go and marry another punching bag," one woman told him. Men stopped defending him. Young men who used to joke about controlling their wives fell silent when elders glared at them. You want to be like Ifeanyi, living alone with only your pride, disgraced in front of the whole village? No one wanted to be like Ifeanyi. His house became truly quiet now. Not the quiet of control, the quiet of loneliness. He cooked his own meals, cleaned his own compound, washed his own clothes. The work his wives had done suddenly became visible and exhausting. Sometimes, late at night, he thought about Neca's silence, about Amarachi's fire, about the man he had become. But he told himself he was the victim. "They just didn't understand," he would mutter. He never once said sorry. 5 years passed. Neca remarried. A teacher from another village who made her laugh and never raised his voice. She had 3 children and sang in the choir again. When people saw her at festivals, they remarked on how young she looked. Marriage suits her. What they meant was peace suits her. Amarachi never married again. She opened a shop in her mother's village, then another, then 5 more. She employed young women and taught them how to keep accounts, how to negotiate, and how to stand firm. "Never let anyone make you small," she told them. When people asked why she never married again, she smiled. "I am married to my peace," she said, "and that marriage is going very well." Ifeanyi grew old alone. His compound fell into disrepair. His hair went grey. Young people didn't know his story, but old people remembered. When his name was mentioned, someone would always say, "Ah, that one, the woman beater," and the conversation would move on. He became a cautionary tale, a warning, a lesson. In Umuoko village, they now warn women about men like Ifeanyi. They teach daughters to recognize the signs: excessive control, sudden anger, isolation, blame. They tell them, if a man shows you who he is, believe him the first time. They tell them, your life matters more than tradition. They tell them, run first, questions later. And sometimes, during village meetings, when a young man talks about putting his wife in her place, an elder will stand up. Let me tell you about a man named Ifeanyi, and everyone falls silent, because some stories need to be told again and again until the lesson finally sticks.